let's get in Natalie's line. And she's like, you realize she's slow. I said, I know, it's perfect. It gives us a chance to get to know her. So for the next 20 years, we got in Natalie's line. My kids would always say, we want to get Natalie, want me to find Natalie's line number. It's not hard to find. It's a long one. We'd get in it, we'd wait. And we would pick up the conversation where we left off for every time we went to Costco. And built into her and were present with her in her workspace. And she began to share and unpack and tell us her story. And we got to know her. It was beautiful. And then one time we get in line, she's telling about a boy she met. That's so awesome. And we're listening to her story. Another time we get in line, we're at the back of the line. She sees me. She points to a ring on her finger. She got engaged. She's like, I got engaged. So we get up and she was super excited to ask me. She said, I know you're a pastor. Would you, we're getting married next summer. Would you do our ceremony? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd be honored to do your ceremony. It's months away, but we were going to catch up and talk more. And I get in line another time, and she got a really sad face, and she's just like, I said, what's going on? She said, my mother-in-law to be doesn't want you to do the wedding. I'm like, why? She said, she doesn't want to pastor at Costco to do the wedding. I don't work here. I'm like the real deal. Look me up.
Check out my LinkedIn page.
Yeah. I went to Kirkland Seminary. Like I'm real. So we wind up doing the ceremony. We minister to her and her husband, her family. She wants to come to our church. She says, we want to come to your parish. I loved hearing that. We'd love to come to your parish for Christmas Eve Mass. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so awesome. Because our church is like a Coldplay concert. So I'm just like, this is going to be awesome. She brought 11 people. They sat in the front row. They heard the gospel for the first time.
Come on.
And it reminded me, and this was the same year that I started chaplaincy, that presence and holding sacred space, and for someone to say, I see you, I hear you, and I want to be part of your journey was important. The piece that I missed was at that time I was a pastor, a college pastor, worked for 8 years at a church, pouring my life into other people, and I completely forgot about myself. I didn't have what we talked about before, friends. I didn't have any of that. And when I got let go from that church, I was alone and I struggled. And I got hired by another church. Eventually I worked through the summer in construction and then got hired by another church, worked for that, great experience, teaching pastor for 10 years, and then got hired by TBC. And this is where the journey takes a unique turn. And I worked for TBC for 7 years. And then the CEO and I had a falling out 3 years ago that was really painful. I came here to Lost Antler. I brought my team here. I've been here like 4 or 5 times. And then all of a sudden the bottom falls out. But what I had that time was I had Eric Swanson, I had Toby Kurth, I had Dan Perkins. I had people in my life that I could process with and work with and listen to me and would hear my story just like I would do for Natalie. And from that experience, when I left 3 years ago, I joined a team called Forte that does that very thing. We took the idea of chaplaincy, and I've shared it with a lot of you, chaplaincy and presence and holding sacred space for people. And we started it in the tech space, and we've moved to the pastoral and Christian nonprofit space, and it has gone crazy. It's blown up. Where pastors at an organization at scale can have access to somebody who serves as like a guide, a confidant, somebody outside of the organization, not somebody that works at Costco and is going to go back and report, but somebody that's outside of the organization that can say, I hear you, and I want to process with you. And so we started this 3 years ago, and it has turned into a thing where we've recognized as a company that pastors are struggling, they're burning out, they're flaming out, they're leaving the ministry, they're saying things like, I didn't sign up for this. And we can't afford to lose them. And so we started this thing for the tech space. It has blown up into the pastoral space, and we're super, super excited about what it's doing. So if you're interested in knowing more, I'd love to share more with you, but I did want to share one last thing. I set my phone down somewhere.
Oh, I have it.
Oh. it's a liturgy that I wanted to share with you real quick. From, if you've seen the book Every Moment Holy, there's a liturgy about standing in line that I thought I'd share. It goes like this: as my life is lived in anticipation of the redemption of all things, so let my slow movement in this line be to my own heart a living parable and a teachable moment. Do not waste even my petty irritations, O Lord. Use them to expose my sin and my selfishness, and to reshape my vision and my desire into better and holier things. Decrease my unrighteous impatience, directed at circumstances and people. Increase instead my righteous longing for the moment of your return, when all creation will be liberated from every futility in which it now languishes. Be present in my waiting in this line, O Lord, that I might also be present in it as a Christ bearer to those before me and behind me who also wait. As I am a vessel, let me not be a sodden paper cup full of steaming frustration, carelessly sloshing unpleasantness on those around me. Rather, let me be like a communion chalice, reflecting the silvered beauty of your light, brimming with an offered grace.
Amen.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.